Good evening or good afternoon if you're tuning in the States. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the latest episode of the Hard Compound Live. My name's Rich and I run and operate the Hard Compound. We are a one-stop shop for all things motorsport. We can be found on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter and Instagram. So search for the Hard Compound. Come and give us a follow on all of those. Come and join in the fun. We generally put out 3 articles a day in the morning, lunchtime and evening here in the UK, so whatever time that is where you're tuning in from. These take the form of race reviews, race previews, breaking news, car and bike livery unveils, throwbacks, birthdays, and anything else we can shake a stick at, really. We're just here to share a love of motorsport and we want to share it with all of you guys. So come and give us a follow. We cover everything from F1 to IndyCar, NASCAR, bikes, rallying, all the feeder series, all the supercars, and again, anything else we can shake a stick at. So if you like motorsport, come and join us. We have some fun. You also might have noticed that we do live video interviews, such as this one right now. Just as we are now, these are streamed live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and automatically saved in our Facebook, in the video section, and in the live section on our YouTube. We've done well over 100 of these, been very fortunate. We've had some terrific guests. I'm not going to name them all. You'll be glad to know. From across the motorsport spectrum, we've had the honour and the privilege of speaking with Mr. Mario Andretti, with Mr. Chip Ganassi. We spoke with Al Unser, Junior, Ari Lyondike, guys like Will Power, Alex Palou, Scott Pruitt, Brian Herter, Willie Ribbs, Danny Sullivan, Paul Page, broadcasting legend, Mark Blundell, Eddie Cheever, Derek Daly. Just last week, we spoke with Mr. Connor Daly, Stefan Johansson, many of the British and European and world touring car drivers as well. We've had like world superbike champion James Toseland. We've had a number of very impressive female guests. Not that female is a segregative thing, of course. We're all together in this. We've spoken with XW Series racers, Sarah Moore, Carrie Schreiner, Sabra Cook. We've had Lynn St. James, absolute legend and trailblazer, and a lovely lady. She's come on for a chat. And we've spoken with NASCAR and Cars Tour broadcaster Jacqueline Drake, and with NASCAR racer Natalie Decker. Which leads us very nicely onto our guest this evening. She's got her sights set on NASCAR. She's working her way up the ladder. Very, very impressive young racer. I've sort of latched onto her in the last couple of years. Not quite sure how I came about her, but I thought she's got something about her and she's very talented and she's smiling away off camera. So we're going to bring her in very, very shortly. So yeah, she's working through the short oval circuits on dirt, and she's transitioning to late models. And on the asphalt scene this year, fingers crossed. So we're going to bring her in right now because you haven't tuned in to listen to me, of course. So please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Laci Ferno.
Hey, how are you doing?
It is very well, Laci. Sorry about the rambling intro. Sorry about that. It gets longer every time. How's everything going?
It's going good. It's Mother's Day here, so my family was in town earlier, and yeah, we're just hanging out I don't have to do homework today, thankfully, first Sunday in weeks. So happy about that. So yeah, just hanging around, working out, doing same old Sunday deal, just chilling.
Good stuff. That sounds excellent. Nice and relaxed. Yeah, obviously, it is Mother's Day out in the States, as you say. Obviously, we're in the UK when we aren't celebrating it today, but happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the US supporting their kids' dreams and being awesome. Where would we be without them? They're wonderful people. Right, firstly, guys, if you have any questions or comments, do put them in the comments box, whichever platform you're tuning in on, and we'll see them in real time if the technology is working, and we'll try and work them in, or just chat amongst yourselves. Really, it's all good fun. And that's where we're going to go with it. So yes, well, firstly, Laci, thank you very much for coming on, sparing your Sunday afternoon. I know you've done a few of these. I've watched a couple of them on my research, and we're going to touch on some of the stuff. But what I'd like to do is go back to the start, which obviously for you wasn't that long ago. How did you first become interested in motorsport? Because I know there was a family connection, isn't there?
Yeah, so I didn't start racing until I was 14, so I was kind of old when I started. And started off in outlaw karts at Millbridge Speedway. I raced intermediate, and I did that for about like a year and a half-ish, because I started in the middle of 2018, so I didn't move up to Opens until 2020, so like kind of a year and a half. And then I raced Opens in 2020, which was kind of a weird year, so it was like kind of half of a season. I don't know. And then I raced micros, the midgets, and now doing late model stuff. But yeah, I got into racing through my dad. He's always been in racing. He used to race late models in the ACT tour up in Vermont, and yeah, he went all over Canada, Vermont, New England, just all those areas, and raced all around there. Then he ended up moving to North Carolina to try to race, but didn't end up working out. So he's worked pretty much every job in racing. He's been a crew chief, tire changer. He's done everything. So yeah, my dad is a man of many talents. So I always thought he was super cool, and I kind of copied him and went racing.
And I guess being from North Carolina, I mean, for us Brits who don't know, who aren't as nerdy as I am, this is sort of proper NASCAR country, isn't it? I mean, basically everywhere around there, the southern states, and it's full NASCAR. And with your dad being in racing as he was, it was almost inevitable that it was kind of bound to happen, wasn't it? That you were going to fall into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I live in Mooresville, so Mooresville's considered Race City, USA. All the teams used to be here. There, everything's like racing thing. There's restaurants that are racing themed here. So yeah, racing's very NASCAR is very big here. If you're into dirt racing, you definitely need to go to Indy. But if you are into NASCAR asphalt racing, Mooresville, North Carolina is the place to be.
Because I mean, we'll come to Indy later. So I know you spent some time there, and it's obviously the month of May. It's all kicking off there, and I must admit, I was into IndyCar first. I'm going to hold my hand up because we had more coverage here in the UK in the late 80s. I feel very old. But I got into NASCAR a couple of years later, and yeah, Mooresville, from what I can gather, it just feels like if you're not into racing, you're kind of living in the wrong town.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic, and I've not been, and I really should go. And I guess being surrounded by it, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people when their parents were involved with racing. Half of them have said, my parents said, no, you cannot go anywhere near it. It's expensive, it's dangerous, and you're not doing it. And the other half couldn't wait to get you in behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Where did your family sit when you were kind of showing an interest?
I don't think they really wanted me to do it. My mom didn't want me to do it. She did not want me to do it. But my dad, I don't know. He was kind of like, I don't think he really had a stance on it. I don't think he really cared either way. But like, he wanted, if I was going to do it, I had to make sure I liked it. That was like the whole thing. Like, it wasn't going to be something I just did for a little bit. I had to make sure I liked it. And like my mom, yeah, she didn't like it. She didn't want me to do it.
I mean, that's the thing. I've got like two young girls myself, and one of them's just showing interest in racing cars, and I'm thinking this is great, but I'm not sure. So I can totally get where your mum's coming from, but the main thing is enjoying it. That's where everything has to start, of course. So when did you first think about having a go yourself and thinking, oh yeah, that looks fun?
I think I always kind of wanted to do it. I always knew I wanted to do it, and just like I wanted to copy. I thought what my dad did was so cool. Like even like when he was like building cars and stuff, I always thought that was super cool. I mean, there's pictures of me messing with like late models when I was like 2. So like I always thought they were cool and wanted to be around them. But yeah, I think I tested a quarter midget one time when I was like in 5th grade. So like 9 years old, I think. So I tested it one time, but I didn't end up racing it because I was like, I don't know. My dad was like, you got to commit to it. And then like, I don't know why, but commitment scared me when I was 9. I was like, I don't want to commit to $1. That's scary. So yeah, I just never really fully did the commitment until I was 14. And yeah, I mean, I always wanted to do it. And my mom just didn't really want me to do it. And then when my dad had his heart attack in 2017, she was like, okay, I'll let you two go racing together because hopefully it'll just be a phase and you'll get over it. But so you can make your memories together because we'd been annoying her for a while to let me do it. And yeah clearly stuck. And yeah, now we're racing, trying to race late models. So here we are.
And now you're in year 7 of the phase and it's still going. So yeah.
Exactly.
Just I want to say, as we go through here, we've got a few, people in Brits here, and we're trying to educate people here, and obviously give you a bit of a push as well. A lot of the people won't know what the various kinds of racing that you've done are, because we don't do short oval stuff really over here, and we should, because it's great fun. So you might have to just tell us Brits what these kind of cars are. But it's so once you've kind of got the interest in racing, you've started going karting. In the intermediate karts and things like that. When did you start taking it seriously? Because I've got here that you won in just your 14th race, which is properly impressive.
Yeah, so I think I always took it serious. I'm a very competitive person, so like I knew I wanted to do it. So I knew too, without having a family with a lot of money, I had to learn how to get sponsors. So I made my first deck when I was 14, I was trying to get sponsors. I was messing with people I probably shouldn't have been messing with. We were messing with everyone. And yes, I was on with the Outlaw cart. I got my first like deal. I was a brand ambassador for Highline. So that was like my first thing I ever got. I was super excited for that. So I was a clothing ambassador for Highline racing clothes. And yeah, I had a bunch of little other things like that along the way. And then once I had moved up to micros, I got Lucas Oil, then NGK, and then Pit Viper, all those great people. They partnered on me with the micro just for me messing with them and stuff. So yeah, they're amazing people. Without them, I would not have been able to continue racing in the micro. And then I had the amazing partner with MPV who helped me go midget racing. So without those people, I would not probably be anywhere. So the biggest thing for me was sponsors, and I had to learn how to do it real quick, or I was gonna be stuck in Outlaw carts.
That's amazing. I mean, there's some big names there. I mean, some of the names in there. I mean, they sponsor like full series and like NGK. Everyone knows around the world. To get those guys on board, I mean, that's pretty amazing. So I mean, and when you won your 14th race, you must have thought, yeah, I'm top dog here. And thereafter, and I guess once you knew that you could win at that level, you started looking up into into the upper categories. Can you just explain again? I want to come back to this. Can you explain to us silly Brits over here who don't know what the micros are?
Yeah, so what I started off with was the Outlaw cart. So it's a caged go-kart pretty much with a wing. And the intermediate is a 250 dirt bike engine. So I ran a KTM 2-stroke engine for a while. And you can run 4-strokes too. And then opens, it's the same car, but you can run a 450, 500, or 550. So all just dirt bike engines, same kind of thing, 2-stroke, 4-stroke. You can run either or, just different weight classes.
Okay.
And with the micros, it was a motorcycle engine. So it's 600cc motor. I ran a Yamaha R6. And if you kind of see behind me, that was my micro I ran. It's kind of hard to see, but that's kind of what they look like. I don't know a good way to explain what they look like. Yeah, they kind of look like a sprint car, kind of.
I think so. They look like the midget sprint car type thing. That kind of family.
Yeah,
which is awesome. So that's what we're talking about here, guys. And they're absolutely brilliant. You spend a lot of time going sideways. They're very noisy. They're very fast. And I mean, when you moved up into the micros, obviously it's a step up. But I mean, was it a steep learning curve when you moved up to the micros? Because obviously going up from essentially what was a caged car into something with a bit more power behind it and a bit more madness behind it, did you have to learn pretty quickly that you had to get your elbows out? And
yeah, especially the non-wing stuff. With the wing stuff, I caught on pretty fast. I mean, my first wing race, I almost won it. So the wing stuff I caught on to really quick, but it also reminded me of the Outlaw cart. So anything that drives like an Outlaw cart, I feel like I pick up on faster just because where I come from. But yeah, the non-wing stuff took me a minute to get used to. It was a little different. Like with the wing stuff, I feel like you drove way more off your left rear, and then the non-wing stuff was your right rear. So it's kind of hard to get used to for me for whatever reason at first. And yeah, the non-wing took a minute. It took a few months. But the wing stuff, I feel like I was pretty comfortable in the second I got into it. But yeah, I don't know why it took me so long to get used to the non-wing. Once I was used to it, I was used to it. I ended up liking non-wing more than winged. So
okay,
it ended up working out, but yeah.
Because I'm just thinking, I don't know. I've never driven these things. I've done a bit of racing, but if you've got a wing on the top, it's going to push the car down a bit. And if you're turning left a lot, you're going to be loading the right rear quite a lot when you're turning. So I guess, and then without the wing, it's going to be a bit lighter. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, I can see how that would be a bit tricky. I mean, when you're doing this kind of stuff, these high speed sideways, dirt everywhere, lots of noise and stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of guys racing, and it's a very male-oriented sport. When you told people that's what you were doing, I guess where you're from, it's not so strange to have a girl doing this. But they must have been surprised. They must have thought, "What, you do that? Really?"
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I was telling one of my friends not that long ago, because like fun fact, I'm also a barista in the morning, so like I'm around not racing people sometimes, and all my friends, everyone I've grown up with has been in racing. So like usually like if I'm like, oh, I race micros, they know what I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. But like when I talk to those people and like especially him too, like they had no idea about like any of it, and that's like so crazy to me. Like they haven't watched like any kind of racing stuff before. So when I meet people that are outside of the loop, I almost don't know how to talk to them because I'm like, well, I race some. You have sprint cars? No, and I'm like, oh.
It must be hard to describe if they don't know what it is. They're thinking, what?
Yeah,
I'm
like
RC cars or are you real cars or what?
yeah, like they know what like late models are because there's like, oh, they kind of like a street car kind of, but a little more sporty looking. That's usually what I'll say. And like, oh, okay. But yeah, midgets and like micros, I have no idea how to explain them. I'm like, they're kind of like a triangle kind of. They're like this, they look like that. They got an engine. I'm like, I'll just show you a picture. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. That's usually what I end up doing. But yeah, I have no idea how to explain it, and I'm just like, girl, I need to learn how to explain this better.
That must be pretty cool. Just catching people completely off guard and and then be like, what? Yeah, that's always good. I like that. That's always nice. Nice to do that. So in micros again, we said it was a step up. I tried to find some of your results. I couldn't find that many. I mean, were you competitive straight off the bat in those? Were you pretty close up the front? I mean, you said you're a competitive person, and I think you'd probably be annoyed if you weren't competitive. But were you on it?
Yeah, I was pretty competitive. At first, it just took me a little bit to get used to the non-wing stuff, especially at first. But I think, I feel like I was pretty competitive. I was really good at finishing 7th for whatever reason, so I finished 7th a lot. And I mean, I was up there. I didn't win in the micro that much. I didn't win the micro, but I was up there. I wasn't like a back runner. I was just always I was like almost there every time, so it was just kind of frustrating.
But if you're in there, you're in the mix, and you're getting your elbows out and passing people, then that's all you need, isn't it, at that stage? And it's all about the learning curve, as you said, from the wing and everything else like that. But now you stepped up to the National Midget Series. Now, these things I've seen. Now, I've watched a lot of this. As I mentioned to a lot of people, I went to the Indy 500 in 2022, and we were trying to find some short oval midget dirt racing to watch because I've always wanted to go, and I've always wanted to go at the Chili Bowl because it just looks ridiculous. Those things look so much fun because the acceleration on them is ridiculous, isn't it?
Oh yeah, they're fun. They like to wheelie, but they remind me so much of Outlaw Car. Honestly, like when I got in that, it felt like a fast Outlaw Car, and I love that because I loved Outlaw Carts. So I was very excited to get back into those, and it was honestly one of the most fun things I've driven.
Wow, I mean, they do look absolutely brilliant. I'd love to just go and watch much more, have a go in one. I did see though somewhere that you'd said when you first started racing, you just wanted to put your foot down and go fast, and which is brilliant. We love that. But you said as you got up into, I guess, these midget cars, you kind of had to learn that perhaps you can't do that all the time because they're pretty quick. I mean, was that when you first started to think about the mechanics of racing and sort of how to pass people and managing a situation, things like that? Was it then that started to happen?
Yeah, so I definitely was like, I don't know, I was competitive, and the track I raced at Millbridge, it's a wide open track pretty much, like non-wing, hit or miss. I mean, you can go wide open. It's like pretty much like 95% of the time wide open on wing, but winged and like Outlaw Carts wide open. So I just came from such a track that was that fast, and it definitely took me a minute to get used to it, like not just like on the go from the get-go. And midget racing is like that. But even when I tested the late model, and you don't use the throttle to pretty much turn it, right? So that was definitely kind of hard to get used to at first. I wanted to overdrive the late model when I got it, and it was hard not to. It was really hard not to.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to come to late models because they do look fun.
Oh yeah, they're super fun.
Yeah, they're crazy. I mean, obviously, we're talking about this progression up that you've done, and it's come pretty quickly. I mean, you've moved up pretty much every year, haven't you, since you started? How did these transitions come around? I mean, we're going to come onto the subject of funding and backing and stuff like that because we know that without it, you can't go racing. How did these step ups come about? I mean, have you been with the same people that have offered you opportunities, or have you gone and banged on doors, or have you waved your results in front of people and said, look what I can do? I mean, how has it all come about, especially the transition into midgets?
Yeah, so definitely probably out of all those banging on doors. I am always messing with people for sponsors. I'm doing everything I can to find a sponsor to keep racing. So that's honestly been the biggest thing to keep me racing. And I always tell people too, like I feel like with the proper funding, I can win. I know I can win. And the best example of that is when I was totally funded, everything was good to go. I went and won 9 races in 1 year. So I was like, when I am all the way covered, I can do it. So just give me a chance, please. Like I'm begging, please. So yeah, that's kind of how it is. Yeah, it's definitely helping the most. I mean, when I got my midget deal with Abacus, the way I did that was by DMing them on Instagram. So
Yeah.
I DM'd them on Instagram and was like, hey guys, like, you need a driver. And then that's when we ran 6 races with them last year. So I did that. And honestly, I think that's how I met the mounts people too. I DM'd them on Instagram. It was like, hey guys, like, do you have any like rentals and stuff? And we talked about rentals. And then that's when I met Michael. And yeah, that's how I got Race the Midget for them too.
See, that's cool. I mean, this is where social media is a big thing. I mean, because in a lot of ways, and I shouldn't really say this because I'm on social media. This is why I do this, because of social media. But it can be a pain in the what sometimes, because of people just on there, with a profile picture of a car or a dog or a fish or something, hiding behind a photo, talking rubbish at you. But for people like you, young racers who are coming up, it's such an important tool, isn't it? It's so important. I mean, it's obviously how we got in contact, and it's great that you can have this direct access to these teams, especially at the level that you're at the moment. It's just got to be a huge help, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely helped me connect to people because, especially like my dad, he's really connected in asphalt racing, but especially the dirt stuff. He knows more people than I think he probably knows, but he's not as well connected within the dirt. So it was kind of up to me to meet people, get the sponsors, get the funding to do everything. So it's definitely helped me get my name out there more. I mean, I don't even know if I would have been racing a micro if it wasn't for TikTok. So that's how, without TikTok, I would have no social media presence because TikTok is what made me build out everything. So yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know what I would do without social media.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on TikTok. I'm a bit older. I'm kind of still sort of stuck in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as I said. But I think it's fantastic that you're able to kind of almost build the foundations of a career just thanks to a social media presence, which is absolutely amazing. And you're obviously doing it right, which is great to see. Just seen a comment here from Kales Cole. Now, Kales has come on for a chat here. She races. She did a lot of kart racing over in Ireland, and she's done F1000 recently. Very, very talented. Very, very quick. So do go and check out Kales on social media, everyone. Kales Cole. But she said, yeah, to get any form of sponsors, social media is the main thing. They look at who is. They look at. So they look at which. Sorry, start again. To get any form of sponsors, social media is the main thing. It's. And she said it's unfortunate because they look at social media rather than seeing, they just sort of see the initial impression of someone rather than looking at the results or the person behind it or anything like that. But it sounds like you're doing it the right way. You're sort of just, and they're focusing on the character and the driver, which is a great thing. Someone they can invest in. While we're on the subject, though, I just want to talk about this very quickly because, everyone needs help in racing. In motorsport, financial, meeting the right person or whatever. Am I right in saying you've done a little bit of marketing yourself? You've done a bit, and I mean, just having knowledge of that kind of industry help, do you think?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. People always kind of look at me like I'm crazy. Only the crazy thing to me is when I talk to people that aren't racing because they think I'm like insane. Because I was like, yeah, I learned how to do marketing when I was 14. And they're like, but yeah, I don't know. I always make a face like, you went to that? I was like, yeah, I had to. So yeah, when I was 14, I just remember being a stalker and finding people's marketing decks online that they had sent to people and somehow I could find them. And I downloaded all of them and I looked at them and I Googled what stuff meant. And then I took what I thought was the best out of it and I started making my own decks. So yeah, they have gotten way better over time. My first one was ugly. It was not a cute deck, but the ones now are cute. So, yeah, we're getting somewhere with the decks. And then I started going to like sponsor events and stuff. And the biggest thing with people now is they say, because so many drivers and like people that want to progress and stuff have been reaching out. A lot of places they don't really look at emails from people specifically, but from agencies because it's more dependable. So me being a hardhead, I was like, I'll start my own agency. So then I started Slide Job, and I have Slide Job marketing now, and it's not like a well-known thing by no means, but I can put it under the Slide Job category. So it's Slide Job agency instead of just coming from me directly. So
Right.
me being hard
Okay.
headed, I came up with that. So without my marketing, I would be nowhere. I mean,
Wow.
there's not many 15-year-olds that are trying to figure out how to make B2B deals, but here we are. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
was going to say
they weren't good, but I tried. There was something.
that I think that's great though. So many people that they'll just think, oh well, I'm not getting anywhere and give up. You would think, well, I'm going to try a different approach, which
Mhm,
which helps out in marketing, it helps out in racing, it helps out in everything, doesn't it? Being open to trying something different, which is fantastic.
yeah.
I mean, we've got a female racing driver over here. Well, we've got loads of them, obviously, but one that is best known is a lady called Jade Edwards. She's racing in the British Touring Car Championship, or she was until this season. Unfortunately, she's not on the grid this year. She used to say that she uses the fact that she uses her gender as a unique selling point. Now, I mean, I can see why that wouldn't sit right with some other ladies in racing. They just want to be considered equal, but she's gone down the route of saying, "Look, I'm a female. I'm the only one on the grid. People are going to be looking at me. Come and sponsor me," type thing.
Mhm.
Do you think is that something that I'm not going to give away your tricks here or anything like that, but is that something that you've used, or would you use that as saying, "Look, hey, I'm unique here"?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think I get what like some people girls say like they don't want to be known as a female driver, but you can use it to help with things, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it sucks to be known as just like, oh, you're there because you're a girl, blah blah blah. The whole spiel. But if you're gonna be known for it, might as well use it. So I mean, you just gotta prove. I always say like you have to prove why you're there. You can't just. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be respected, but you're not going to be respected. So you got to earn your respect and pay your dues and come to be. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you just have to show people you're good. You have to show people if you mess with me, I'll mess with you back. Don't wreck me or I'll wreck you harder, kind of deal. And just kind of prove it. Like you're not gonna believe me, I'll make you believe it, kind of deal. So I
that's
think at
brilliant.
the end of the day, it's gonna as much as it sucks, you're gonna be known as a girl driver. So prove why you're a good girl driver.
That is the best attitude. I absolutely love that. I mean, that's the thing, because again, there's so many people, and it's mainly guys. I've got no problem saying that. Not me, obviously, but it's mainly guys say, "Oh, well, so and so's only there because they're a female, or they're only getting the attention because they're a female." You still got to go out and drive the thing. You still got to go out and get results. And if that doesn't happen, the people that have backed you, even if they have backed you because of the unique selling point of being a female, they're going to pull the plug because they're going to say, well, you're not doing what you said you would. So that's it. We're done. So you've still got to go out there and do it, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
It's the best way to shut
I
people
hate
up.
it. I mean, I feel bad, especially for like younger girls that are and they're already getting it when they're like 6. But you just have to prove to them, and then they'll just switch to, oh, you're cheating. So it's either so it's like, well, they think I'm good enough to cheat, so we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, there's always going to be the people who, the blinkered people who always play the gender card, which is absolutely ridiculous. And as I say, if the results aren't there, then you're going to get the backing, and you've obviously got the results to back it up, which is great. Okay, right, I've got to move forward. I mean, fast forward 2022, just a couple of years ago. I mean, am I right in saying that you'd only raced around North Carolina at this time? You'd only raced kind of at home or near home at this point. You went to test a midget, which you hadn't done since you were 9, but we'll skip over that.
Technically, I guess I did run a quarter midget.
It wasn't a full test when you were 9. But
I was little. It wasn't tiny.
you headed out west, out to Oklahoma, to do a test. Was it Creek County Speedway? I got from my research here. How did it come about with Mount Stout Racing? Because obviously Oklahoma, I mean, everywhere's pretty close to everywhere else here in the UK, but in the States, obviously Oklahoma to North Carolina isn't exactly a short trip. How did it all come about?
Yeah, so that one kind of the same deal. They posted on Instagram that I think they were looking for drivers or something, and I hit them up. I was like, hey, like I'd be down if y'all down or if y'all are down. So we talked, and they gave me the pricing and everything. So I was on the hunt for sponsors for months. I mean, probably 2021. By January 2021 is the first time I talked to them, and I was on the hunt for sponsors from that day on, trying to find something to race. And I did it, and then in March of 2022 is when I met the MPP people, And he was the nicest guy in the world. He was the best guy in the entire world. He without him, I would never race any midgets. So he met me and he's like, yeah, like I'm down to do stuff. And we went and he's like, I'll pay for you to run. I think it was I ran 2 races and a test. So that stuff. And yeah, we went and ran the Illinois Speed Week with mounts and went pretty good. And I tested with them too. I think about a week or 2 before. I can't remember the exact date, but yeah, that was that trip out there. It was an interesting trip. I had the worst luck at the airport that day. It was not a good day, but we got out there and everything was great.
You've got to tell us what happened now. You've got to tell us. Come on.
So you know it's a bad sign when you get to the airport and people are sleeping on the ground. Like you just know something happened.
Yeah, that's not a good start, is it?
And I was supposed to fly out at I think 10 in the morning. I don't know. It was really early in the morning, and all the flights were on time. And I was with my mom and dad, and we like went and looked at the screen to see. Oh no, our phone went off, and like how like your boarding pass on your phone, it'd be like, oh, gate change. So we figured it was a gate change. Oh no, it got canceled. The flight got canceled. So we were like, oh, perfect. And they're like, oh, it's because of weather. There was no weather. So like, okay, well, we'll put you on a flight at 5 p.m. And I was like, okay, sounds good. Well, we stayed at the airport for 5 hours, or we're at like it's like now 1 p.m. at this point. We're sitting there killing time, and they're like, oh, well, you can fly to Missouri because the flight at 5 is kind of full. No, that one's not full, but there's a flight at like 2 that's full, but you might get on by standby, so you don't have to sit as long. I'm like, okay, great. And we ended up getting on that one. Everything's great. And I had checked, I'd never flown for racing before. So it's like, it's kind of my own fault. But I checked all of my gear because I don't care. I don't know. I just checked it. Like, I really think it through. Apparently no one does that. And I get why now. So we got to Missouri and we wait for our bags. Like, all the bags were gone. Like, none of our bags were there. And they're like, oh, they're probably just still in Charlotte. They'll come overnight, whatever. Like, okay, great. And we got there, I think, 2 days early. So we tested on, like, I think Saturday, and we flew up Wednesday. We were supposed to get in the middle of Wednesday, but we got there Wednesday night. Yeah. Oh, no, Thursday night. I don't know. I think there's a day in between. Okay, sorry. Way too much context. Anyway, so we got there next morning, like, oh, they'll be there in the morning. They weren't there in the morning. They're like, oh, they'll come later today. And no one had anything. I had no clothes, nothing. Like I was rocking my Hard Rock Tulsa casino t-shirt for 3 days. And they're like, okay, it'll come. And they're like, oh, it'll be there Saturday morning. And I was supposed to get a test at like noon that day. And I was like, wow. Okay. Saturday morning came. It was not there. So then I was like, okay, I know people out here. Like, I can probably borrow someone's gear out here. Because I had my helmet. That was good. I got a big head, so I can't wear other people's helmets. And I was like, I texted everyone I knew, and everyone was in Illinois because it was High Bank Week. And I was like, great, everyone's in Illinois. So I texted one of my friends, and he said, I was very surprised I got a response that early, because it was pretty early in the morning. He's like, text this guy, he will probably give you gear. And I was like, okay. So I texted this guy I never met before, like ever. And I was just like, hey, I want to so-and-so's friends. Can I wear your gear? And he's like, yeah, of course. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, shout out to Austin Lambert. He is the realest guy in the entire world. Never met me at a gas station, gave me all of his gear for like no questions asked. So without him, I probably wouldn't have tested a mission.
Wow.
So he saved my butt that day. But yeah, and our bags, we got them the day we flew back home. Well, me and my dad's bag. Then my mom's bag got sent to like freaking like Kansas. She didn't even give her bag like 2 days. So yeah. Anyway, very rough. The bag thing was kind of rough, but yeah, that was outside of that, it was a really fun trip. We were just
apart from having no stuff, it was great. Yeah.
I had nothing. Only thing I had was my backpack. So I had like my like computer, my helmet, just like the most random stuff, my chargers. Like I was like, great, I have a phone charger and my computer. Great.
Wow. It's not ideal, but at least you got sorted with all your gear and everything and stuff.
And I was like, this guy's not. I was like, oh my God, if someone asked me to borrow my gear, I had no idea who it was. I would be like, no. Absolutely
not. This is mine.
Yeah. Who are you? Bless that guy. He saved my butt that day.
That guy's a hero. And obviously him doing that got you behind the wheel of the midget. Now, as I said before, these are pretty amazing things. And like Mount Stout run in a lot of categories, you know, they've in like the USAC National Midgets and Extreme Outlaws and stuff and all that fun stuff. So they're a good group of people. I mean, how did it all go, that test? I mean, you must have thought, I mean, you must have loved it. I mean, after all that had gone on with all your gear, you must have loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely happy to finally be doing it. I remember it was so hot. And I just remember it was insane. It was so hot that day. I don't know why it was so hot. But it was super fun. It was so different than the micros that I had been in. That was the first time I'd ever sat in a midget, started a midget, did anything like that. So that was really fun. I had way too much fun, and then the races I had way too much fun too. I felt like it took me a second to kind of get used to it on the day I was testing, and then but once we got used, I got used to it. I felt good, and I was getting better, and yeah, it was a really fun experience.
Excellent. That's cool. No, good. I mean, it's good that you can adapt to these cars quickly because obviously you have to do that if you're going to move up and things like that. And I saw that you ended up at the midget week at like Fayette County and Lincoln Speedway and places like that, which I've googled these places and they look like very cool places. Just being immersed in it must have just really given you that kind of bug of wanting to do it like properly, as it were. You must.
Yeah. I'd never seen. I guess I'd seen the midgets race only at Millbridge pretty much because they came to Millbridge that December during COVID or January, and then they ended up running there again in October, I think, that year before. So yeah, I'd seen them only at there, so it was awesome being able to see them somewhere else and actually be able to race them. So it was just super fun.
Fantastic. That's cool. I'm jealous. I mean, you know, when you live in a different country, especially a country that's a long way away. When I was young, I thought America, it may as well have been Mars, like a different planet, you know. And you look at it, and I saw the Indy 500 and the Daytona 500 and Sebring and all these places, and you think, man, that looks cool. And the midget racing is still like that for me. I'm very jealous that you've been. I'm going to have to go to the States again. But
oh, yeah.
It just looks awesome. You know, so when I was in the States, I was in Las Vegas and I told someone that I was from London, and you'd think, well, near London. And his reaction, his eyes like opened up wide. He's like, it was like I'd said that I was from like the moon. He was like, oh my God, that's awesome. I was like,
I do that.
Just London, you know. But yeah, I mean, so you're probably thinking I'm nuts for wanting to go to this midget racing, but it does look brilliant. It's on my list.
Yeah, I respect it.
Yeah, thank you. So I mean, moving into sort of 2023, I read somewhere that you'd sold the micro that you had. Did you have any plans that year, or was it a case of right, let's sell the car, let's get some money, and see what happens, or was it?
Yeah. So going into before we ended up selling the micro, going in about like December of 2022, I had nothing. I had no sponsors. I had nothing, and I was trying to race the midget. And I was like, the midget's not coming. And we were getting rid of the micro. We were going to keep racing the micro. We just weren't going to end up doing it. And we were going to sell it. I hadn't sold it yet, though. And I DM'd Abacus on Instagram. And I was like, hey, guys, blah, blah, blah. And I started talking to them about running a midget with them. And we talked for a while. And we talked off and on. And we decided at the Chili Bowl we were going to announce I was running for him for a handful of races. And, yeah, that's kind of how that happened. We didn't sell the micro until after that. So, thankfully, that probably would have added some extra stress. But, no, we were – without that, yeah, other than that, I had nothing. So, but thankfully, by the time we did sell the micro, I was already with Abacus.
Okay, cool. Now, I've had a quick look at Abacus on social media, and they just seem like a really cool group of people, you know, proper racing people. So I can see why you contacted them. There's a name that popped up every now and again, a guy called Brent Cox. I guess he's the guy who really made it all happen.
Yeah, he's the one who owns the team. He owns the majority of the team, man. He's super cool. He's a CPA, so he's in the tax world. So he loves IndyCar racing.
Don't mess with him. Don't mess around with him.
Yeah, he loves IndyCar racing. This is his favorite month in the world. So he's in heaven right now at the Indy 500. So he's a cool guy. Without him, I would have raced the midget.
No, that's cool. Good guy. See, we need people like that. Motorsport's full of people like that, isn't it? Just who are in it because they love it and they do it right. And if they look after tax, then crikey, then get on their side. So you joined Abacus and said you ran some races with them. One thing I want to talk about though is you got the Abacus Racing Women's Development Team. Now this is a cool thing. I like this. Basically, the aim is to have an all-female crew, isn't it? And you're the first part of it.
Yeah. So that was the goal last year. We were that was like our original plan was to do that, and it was fun. We ended up running 6 races, and now with the late model stuff, going late model racing. So it was fun, and yeah, I'm excited to race the late model though this year. That'll be a lot. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing that. I mean, just very quickly, I mean, again, I don't want to bring gender into it. I don't like really, but obviously you've got the all women's racing teams coming in and you're trying to get a full crew and things like that. And obviously, as guys, we don't understand really how daunting it is for a female to go into such a male oriented world. And people talk about W Series and F1 Academy and things like that as being more segregation, but I've always thought, I'm just from the outside, that it almost provides not like something like a safe space. Yeah, you're not going to get judged by a bunch of guys saying you can't do this and you're not allowed to do this and you're not as good as we are and talking trash to you, basically. Which I guess must have happened to you at some point. And I think setting up this all women's crew, even on this fairly small level with Abacus Racing, it can only help young girls out there who want to get into motorsport. It can say, look, if you aren't the kind of person that can meet a guy head on, and if you want to come in and do this, then there's a space for you to do it. I mean, is that part of what it's been set up for?
Yeah, I think that was the goal. They wanted to have like girl pit crew, girl everything. So like board, marketing, anything within a racing team, they wanted it to be a girl for the 59 car at the time. So it was a really cool thing. I mean, without that, I mean, I met a lot of really cool girls that were trying to race, and I've ended up helping them try with some of their marketing stuff. So it's definitely helping me meet more girls that were like me, because I mean, there's a bunch of them, but you always just kind of feel like you're the only one. Like, wow, I'm the only girl doing all this, which is not true. But I mean, like sometimes you just kind of get down on it. Like you're like, is this like, am I doing it right? So it's really good. It was really good to meet other girls that have been in the same spot as me, like struggle to find sponsors and all that, and just kind of like helping each other and uplifting each other.
Yeah, which is brilliant, which is absolutely fantastic. Because I mean, I'm old enough now. I know that girls need their girlfriends, and you need to get together and you need to, and that's a great thing. I mean, just like guys need time to go out with their guy friends, but I mean, obviously you're the kind of character I can gather from, you just don't care. You're just going to go in. I want to go racing. I don't care if you're a guy or a girl or whoever. Get out of my way. I'm coming through type thing. But obviously not everyone's like that. And that's why, I think it helps different characters, doesn't it? I mean, would you ever go down the route of, if there was like an all-girl micros or midget series, would you go down that route, or would you try and stay away from it? Because I've spoken to a lot of females who have raced in the W series and who have raced against guys, in mixed series as well, and I can see arguments for both sides. But would you prefer to race against the guys, or will you take on anyone?
Yeah, I'll take on anyone. I don't really feel like I have a preference, especially like I just want to race anything. So I mean, if it's a ride, it's a ride. I'll race anything. So I respect both series. I think they're both great in their own ways, and I would do either one, honestly.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, one thing I've always said about W Series is, I mentioned in the intro, I've spoken to like Sabra Cook and Carrie Schreiner, and they've both said without W Series, their careers would have stopped because it was a free ride. So even if W Series failed and it was a bit of segregation, it's kept these people in the public eye. And now obviously Sabra's off doing Carrera Cup North America, and Carrie Schreiner's doing GT stuff and F1 Academy. So
Yeah.
there's something to be said for it. So cool. Anyway, right, back to you. Yeah, I mean, obviously, excuse me. What have I got here? Let's get some notes. Yes, yeah, I want to talk about this. You had your debut kind of, because this is when you first started traveling around racing, wasn't it? Getting on the road for racing. And I read somewhere you went to, was it Humboldt Raceway, Kansas, for your debut, and you went from 21st to 12th. I mean, on a super competitive grid, that's pretty impressive. Were you surprised, or were you or once you started, you thinking, right, I'm going forward, I'm going to have these guys?
Yeah, so I think that race is always kind of funny for me to look back at, that one and 81, both of them, because I had tested a midget. I mean, before that year, last time I was in a midget was at Lincoln. So July of 2022, I ended up running or testing one, I think in like March of last year at at a track in India. I can't think of what it's called right now. But it was a bigger track. But then after that, I tested at US 24. So that was a tight track. And then a month later, I was playing with Humboldt. And Humboldt was kind of I think it was a 3/8 mile. I might be wrong, but it was a bigger track. And I was going, and I qualified bad. I didn't run good in the heat race. And then I was in the B main, and I ended up missing the transfer, I think by 1 or 2, but I ended up getting the fastest lap provisional. So I got into the A main, and I was like, okay, I need to stop being a baby. I need to like actually go. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm being stupid. So I was like, I'm gonna go wide open and see what happens. And then so we went. I stopped being a little wuss, and I got going. And yeah, that was my first race. And then same with 81. 81, that track was hard for me because it was just different. It's such a big. It feels so big. You want to go wide open, but it was so slick and like dry slick from how hot it was. You had to be. It was like such a fine line between throttle control and like you were either not going fast enough or you were about to die because you were you were out of the line. So that track was very technical when I raced it, and they were both super fun tracks. I wish I could have went back this year, but yeah, once I stopped being a wuss, I raced better at both of them. So yeah, I wish I could get back in a midget and run like more back to back to back to backs. I feel like I would do a lot better instead of I raced like 2 races and then skipped a few months, then did 2 more. So I feel like I learned I would always do better the second night. So I wish I was the third night. I'm like the third night would be good.
You'd be ready to go. It's having the gaps between races, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? Especially when you're sort of learning and moving up. It's so hard to race and then not, and race and then not. But it's good to hear. I mean, because obviously the first race you're a bit tentative and you think, oh, what can I do? And then you think, go for it, whatever. And obviously that helps. I mean, and I've got here that you raced a few speedways in Illinois. Doe Run Raceway in Montana. What's it like? I mean, obviously, for someone who'd raced so much at home, as it were, what was it like being out on the road just for racing? I mean, there's so many people on the face of it thinks that's the coolest life.
It's awesome. I love it. Some people don't like it, but I personally love it. I love traveling. I love going around racing at different tracks. Even like I've always thought, even when I was little, I used to think the people that were on the road for like NASCAR and stuff were like had the coolest job. Even like World of Outlaws too. Like I thought those were just cool. And then to be a driver, to be able to do it, I feel like it's the absolute best job. So I think it's super fun, and I just love it. I think it's such a cool lifestyle. That's
fantastic. I mean, we're going to come to NASCAR in a minute because obviously NASCAR, they're on it every week, aren't they? Every single week they're out doing something. Was it Darlington, isn't it, today? Yeah, so that's really cool. But yeah, one thing I did, look, I actually sort of Googled all these speedways. Now, I had a picture in my mind of these sort of dirt ovals out in the middle of nowhere, and I've got on the notes here, it was Doe Run. It just looks like everything I ever pictured in my mind. It was just like out in the middle of nowhere, a couple of like breeze blocks holding the sign up and a few outbuildings, the circuit built into like a bank, and it just looked like a proper racing. Are there any circuits that you have in your mind that you think that's the one that I love going to, or that's a proper crazy?
Honestly, I think my favorite track I went to was Humboldt. I think Humboldt was such a nice track. Like that was one of the nicest tracks I feel like I've ever been to. And like the bathrooms were nice because like that's kind of hard to come by sometimes. The bathroom was nice. The track was so well taken care of. You could just tell they loved it. The tracks that you can just tell that they like love are always the best ones. Like they're in it because they love it. They love dirt. They know dirt. They know how to keep the dirt alive and stuff. So just those kind of tracks I feel like are always the best. Yeah. With dirt racing. Asphalt racing, I've only been to a few asphalt tracks. So I feel like I can't really give a good statement on that.
You have to start doing some have a little table of the best asphalt tracks once you've done some more of it. And we touched on this very quickly, actually. The month of May, we love the month of May. I've always loved it since I saw my first Indy 500 in, I'm not going to say when it was because I'll feel very old. It was in the 80s. And you spent a bit of time in Indy. I saw you did a bit of time in Indy. Was it around this time of year that you were there, or was it slightly after? Because, I mean, there's nothing like Indianapolis.
No, not at all. Yeah, I love it.
Indy 500 week. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Indy was my favorite place I feel like I've ever been to. I absolutely loved it. I lived up in Indy. I was there the entire month. I was in one of Brent's suites at the track pretty much every day for 3 weeks. So
Wow.
I was up there. I was in it. I was in the middle of it, and it was awesome. It was honestly one of the funnest months of my life. I loved it. One of my friends, Limeade Media, he is up there. He's already up there, and I told him I was jealous. I was like, I'm gonna sneak in your suitcase. Like, come on, bring me up there. So, I loved it. The month of Indy, and if it's May, you gotta go to Indy. Indy's the best place to be in May.
Absolutely. I mean, we were there. So we flew into Chicago on the Thursday. We were in Indy for Friday. Well, I went to Cincinnati Saturday, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning, and it's just so alive. There's so much going on. You know, you're not sleeping. There's no one sleeping in it. It's just noise. I mean, we were right by Monument Circle as well in the center, and there were cars revving engines and discos, and it was just crazy. But we got the feeling, no disrespect to Indianapolis, that if you're not a race fan, there's nothing really to go for. But it's so awesome, isn't it? It's just the coolest thing, and carb day and everything. It's it's just the best. It's
Yeah, they got the cannon on Saturday or Sunday. Is it Saturday? I can't think of what day it is. It's whatever the 500's on. But I'm
Sunday morning. Is it about 7 o'clock in the morning? Isn't it?
Yeah.
See, we'd forgotten about it. We'd forgotten about that, and we got in the car. We hired a car. We was in downtown Indianapolis. We drove out just to the north of the speedway, and we got stuck in traffic. And all of a sudden, we just heard this enormous bang. We were like, "What was that?" And then we looked at the time. We were like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, there it is.
No, very cool, very cool. So I'll sort of fast forward a bit. You did like a micro sprint for the first time, sort of back in North Carolina and stuff, and that kind of sounds like a lot of fun. You stepped in for another racer, didn't you? I seem to remember.
Oh yeah. I filled in for him for one race. It wasn't really too. He was his older brother. It was in, I think, New Mexico. His older brother is in I think he's in the military. I can't think of what branch he's in right now, but he's in one of the military branches, like he's training for it. So they were out in New Mexico for the week, and his dad works with my dad, so they asked if I could fill in for him for a race. And yeah, it took me a second to get used to it again. It was weird to get back into micro after not being in it for almost a year. So it was fun though. I think I ended up like 7th because I'm great at finishing 7th at Melbourne. So yeah, it was fun. It was definitely fun to get back in it. So I definitely had a fun time doing that.
Yeah, excellent. Now we've got. I mean, you've touched on it a couple of times. I mean, we've got to talk about making the transition from the dirt to the asphalt, which again, us Brits don't really understand this kind of thing. I've loved it, but basically, Brits, we've got the Briscoe F1. These are sort of stock cars, ovals, and they run on dirt and mainly on asphalt as well. And it's all a bit crazy. But were you always thinking about making the move to the asphalt world and maybe going on that ladder towards NASCAR? Was that always in your mind if you could pick a route?
Yeah. I think Kyle Larson was my favorite driver, so I wanted to be Kyle Larson. So anything Kyle Larson did, that's what I wanted to do.
Cool. I mean, because he's running Indy, isn't he? Is he running Indy?
He's in the 500 this year. Yeah, he's doing the double. He's going to run the 500 and the 600.
That's very cool. That's cool. So, and obviously, it's through Abacus Racing, isn't it, that you've managed to test the late model car, or was it through others? I can't.
It was through other people. Yeah, I got they were connected now. But I met these. I met Lee and those people, Lee and his team about I think like August of last year, and we talked, and I ended up testing his late model a few times, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and it was such a fun experience. I never done anything like that before, so it was really cool to get into a different like discipline of racing and trying it out. So it was super fun, and I want to do it again. I really haven't done it forever, but it was super fun when I did it.
That's very cool. I mean, and again, for those who don't know, the late model is basically it's like a stock car, isn't it? It's like a NASCAR type thing, but it's on a short oval, and I mean, it must have been taking quite a bit of getting used to going from a little single seat. I say a little single seat buggy. It's, I don't mean that obviously as it sounds, but going from like the midget racing, should we say, into a big old stock car and having a spotter and stuff. I mean, it must have been a lot of getting used to.
Yeah, that was probably the weirdest thing to get used to. I remember I would try to talk to him and not press the button because I just was not used to having that where you could actually talk to people and have people talk to you. It wasn't just like, all right, do your deal, go figure it out. They can talk you through every little thing if you want them to, or if they they just you know what's going on around you. You know everything. So that definitely took me a minute to get used to. I was like, oh, it won't be that weird, but it's definitely weird that you can like actually like talk and like figure things out while you're actually in the car, not come in, talk about it, go back out, come in, talk about what just happened, kind of deal. Because I forget stuff, so it's good. It's good to have it.
It's good to have the information just coming in all the time. Just going. I mean, it does look a lot of fun. I mean, is there anything on the cards for this year? Are you hoping to maybe run a few rounds or part
Yeah,
season or anything?
it all depends on sponsors. I've been working on getting some sponsors to race the late model here and there. So we're working on that still. I'm trying to. I'll race anything. I'll race anything. So we're working on it. And hopefully it'll be pretty soon though.
Yeah, fantastic. That's very cool. Just before we get on to the future, I'm just aware of the time. We're going to get onto the future very briefly, but I want to talk about the organisation that you set up, the brilliantly named Ripping for a Cure, which I love. I love that. Again, Brits, if you don't know what ripping means, it's basically just getting your foot down and going. Ripping for a Cure, and this is awareness of heart disease. I mean, you touched on it right at the very start with your father, and also I guess that was the reason for setting this up.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, my dad, he had a heart attack in 2017. He had a widowmaker heart attack, and he's good now, but heart disease is super big in my especially my dad's side of the family. Like everyone on my dad's side of the family pretty much has some sort of heart problem. And as bad as it was, without him having that, I probably would be racing. So I want to do something in honor of my dad for my racing. And yeah, I came up with Ripping for a Cure, and she's in the rebrand era, so it's kind of boring right now. But we're working on making it. I'm gonna work on it really hard this summer and get to a really awesome thing. So I've been messing with it when I was in high school and stuff, but I didn't like how it looked, so or start on a clean slate, and it's gonna be super cool. I don't want to give too much away with it, but it's gonna be really fun.
No, I mean, I just think it's a brilliant thing to do, and it's not just aimed at people within motorsport; it's aimed at the wider community as well, isn't it? And you know, our health is something that we all take for granted until something happens, I think, isn't it? And which I've had recently. I was pretty unwell, and you think, "Oh God, this is horrible," and it made me think about people that do have chronic issues or things like that. And I think it's great if we can use a love of motorsport and the motorsport community to make a big difference. Then that can only be a good thing, can't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely cool. I did a whole thing where I taught kindergartners through 12th graders about it for my senior project, and it's super fun. I think that's definitely in the future going to hopefully be doing more events like that and teaching kids about it in a fun way, not like don't die kind of deal. It's going to be like in a fun way. So, yeah. I love it. I love connecting with people and hearing other people's stories about how they connect with me and Rippin'.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's really good. And obviously, we'll keep an eye open for all the new stuff that's coming up, and and we'll give it a push because
thank you.
That's the most important thing, isn't it? Health has got to come before anything. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we've got to talk about the future anyway. I mean, we touched on it. Obviously, you're looking at getting into late models and stuff. I guess is the bright lights of NASCAR, is that the ultimate goal if it could happen?
Yeah, I think that is definitely the goal. I want to race trucks. I want to race all that kind of stuff. So I think it'd be fun, and I think we can do it. And hopefully it'll be soon. We'll be out there and get going.
Yeah, awesome. And I mean, I keep trying to push NASCAR and IndyCar over here. You've got to watch it, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's so good, and it's a great show, and they're noisy and fast. And what more do you need in life? So yeah, I mean, I obviously hope you can make that step up the ladder and everything. Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, we've just mentioned NASCAR. I mentioned we had like Natalie Decker on here a couple of years ago, and we've got the likes of her and like Brittany Zamora and Hailey Deegan and Amber Balkan and all the others have shown that a female can make it, to a very high level and stuff. I mean, do you look up to people like that, and people like Linson James and Janet Guthrie, all these people that have made such a difference to motorsport in the States, for females? I mean, do you look up to those kind of people and think, well, if they can do it, why can't I?
For sure. Yeah, I definitely have role models. I really respect the girls that have made an impact and made the transition and been able to succeed in it. And I definitely look up to them. I think my biggest role models, honestly, Ross Chastain and Kyle Larson. Those are my two biggest role models. I think Kyle Larson's one of the best drivers in the world. And then too with Ross, Ross, I connect with Ross. I feel like he raced. He worked. He grinded to race. Like he did everything he could to race, and now he's racing Cup. So I feel like I definitely look up to them two so much. And Ross is so talented too. Like they're both amazing, extremely talented drivers. And I just without Kyle, I probably wouldn't have started racing dirt. And without Ross, I probably would not have as much faith that I'll be able to keep going. So yeah, them two. Without them two, I don't know who my inspirations would be.
Yeah, that's cool. And you mentioned Ross Chastain. I mean, he did his wall ride. I mean, we all saw that, and they've now banned it. Anyone that tries that deserves so much respect because that could have gone so wrong, couldn't it? Especially with the gates in the fence, it could have gone so wrong. But he just
he's a tough guy. He's cool. I think he's one of the most sick people out there. He is bad to the bone. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. Would you have tried that if you had to? The wall ride?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I've never really been in that situation, but I respect it. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, and he is definitely the guy. Do what you gotta do. So I respect. He has all of my respect in the world. So does Kyle. Just them two. They're just so good. Them two are just amazing.
Yeah, they're brilliant. And I love the reaction of everyone else. Did you see that?
Yeah.
What did he just do? It was like...
I was at Millbridge. I remember when it happened. I was standing with one of my friends. He his was racing at Millbridge. We were just sitting there talking, and it's actually kind of funny. He was he knows Ross, and it was like talking like, oh yeah, like he's really cool. I wish he could because no one thought he was gonna do it. Like be able to get in there, like that's much for him. Like he's just so good, such a good guy. I wish he could. Oh. that's we were always like, oh. And they're like, oh, like, all right, never mind. That's awesome. So,
is that legal? It is. Okay, great. It's a full Hail Mary, wasn't it?
Oh. Everyone just sat there. It was like, oh. They had like on the big screen because it's for like a practice night. We're all just sitting there. We're like, oh, okay. Like that's right on. That's pretty cool.
It's like that's a thing you can do. Okay, great.
Yeah, I respect it so much though.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, okay, just some fun stuff very quickly. I mentioned the Chili Bowl. What an event that is! I mean, that's on my bucket list, big time. I didn't know much about it really. I knew what it was until I spoke with Jacqueline Drake, who's the pit lane reporter in the Cars Tour, and she sold it to me. That looks like something you've got to do, isn't it?
I want to race the Chili Bowl. I definitely want to race the Chili Bowl at least once. I went for the first time. Not this year, but the year before when I was making my announcement with Abacus. And it was just such a fun experience. It's super cool having everyone in the same area. And just, I would love to race it. I never raced it, but I would love to race it.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I spoke with Connor Daly last week and he just said it's the best fun. He said, he said you can drive around the Indy 500. You can go down the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. You can do all this stuff. He goes, get to the Chili Bowl, get inside. It's a big party. It's a huge festival. It's just dirt racing and it's fast and it's fun. Yeah, he sold it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely a party. It's a fun place to be.
Yeah, fantastic. Critty, have you been to any like NASCAR, any big NASCAR events as yet? And is there one that you'd like to go to? Because I know where I'd like to go. Daytona's my one.
100%. I went to Daytona. I've been to Daytona. I went down there with Pit Viper in 2022. That was super fun. I had fun with those guys and meeting everyone and doing that stuff. I've been to the Charlotte races just because I live here. So been to 600, been to the All-Star, went to the old October race, been to the Roval, pretty much been to anything that's been at Charlotte, even the dirt races too. Drag races, everything that's at Charlotte I've been to. I guess I've been to Martinsville. I did go to Martinsville one time when I was like 10. And that's kind of the main places. I've always said like when I hopefully am in NASCAR, I'm so excited to race a truck at Darlington. I think Darlington is the coolest track, and I really want to race Darlington.
Yeah, that's awesome because NASCAR's there. Well, now aren't they? They're on it. We're missing it. Yeah, it does look cool. But yeah, I'm very jealous again. I want to go. Okay, fun questions. Just some fun ones to wind down. We always say about an hour. We always go over. Never mind. We won't keep you too long. When you're not doing motorsport stuff, I guess you're just a normal girl out doing the normal stuff. I did see on social media, you did some crazy mud run.
Yeah.
You're better than I am for doing that.
Yeah, me and one of my best friends, LeVar, me and one of his friends, we went to yeah, that's definitely something you're supposed to train for. We didn't train for it. I had an ad for it on Instagram. I literally texted him like, hey, you want to do this? It's like, yeah. And I figured he was going to bail. And I was like, okay, yeah, I bet you're going to do it. And then he's like, on the Friday before, like, you're definitely supposed to like plan for this, like hydrate and get ready for it. Friday, I remember I worked at 4 a.m. that day, and I just got home at 9 a.m. And he sent me a screenshot of his receipt of him buying the ticket. And I was like, oh my god, we're gonna do it.
You're
So,
like, oh, he's done it.
so I bought the ticket and we went and did it. It was super fun. I want to do it more. I absolutely loved it. It was super fun. I definitely want to do it again. Actually, train for it so I can do everything because I can't climb a rope. I tried. I couldn't do it, and it's like I want to learn how to climb a rope and do that. And then hopefully maybe next year when they come around again, I'm gonna try to do the 10K. So yeah, it was really fun when we did. It was funny. It was definitely something to watch. Us three. They looked athletic doing it. I did not. So I was just laughing for myself the whole time because like I was fine the first like 2.5 miles. But that last like half mile, oh my god, I was done for. I was like, guys, they were fine. I was not fine. Once I went, there was this one thing that was like you had to climb up this slick mud, like climb up it and then slide down it. And it was this puddle, and there was like these guys that were already in it. They're probably like chest deep in it, and I didn't really put into account they're probably taller than me. I was like, oh, it's not that deep. Yeah, no, submerged. I was like, I'm gonna die. It's fine. I was like, it's fine. I'm just gonna accept my fate. It was so cold. It was like cold outside. I just like immediately was like, oh god. And it was just like, after that happened, I was done for. I was just cold and shaking and like trying to climb stuff, and I was like,
oh
no,
my
no.
goodness me. No.
Fun. I want to do one again. I definitely need to train for it, but
Yeah.
super fun. I want to do it again. I definitely want to do it again.
That's brilliant. Fair play to you for doing it. I mean, my sister does that kind of stuff, and I just no.
It's fun. You can try at least once.
Maybe I might do it once. I prefer just to sit and watch racing, to be honest. Much safer. No, that's cool. Obviously you're a NASCAR fan. We know that. Is there any other motor racing series that you follow kind of closely, or is it all about the NASCAR?
Honestly, NASCAR, sprint cars, midgets, all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of into MotoGP. I think MotoGP is really cool. So I honestly I've watched some F1 stuff. They come on like at 3 like early in the morning.
Yeah.
So like anytime I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go watch that. It's like the last like 5 laps. I'm like, dang it, I missed the whole thing. That's like every time I go, like, I'm gonna watch F1 race. It's like, oh no, all right, it's already over. But yeah, honestly, I love it all.
But with F1 at the moment, you basically, I mean, apart from obviously Lando winning in Miami, which was great, but with Max doing so well, it's like, oh well, he's ahead. Yeah. And that's it, unfortunately. But that's cool. But MotoGP, I'm so glad. I'm a big bike racing fan as well. Big fan of Valentino Rossi. He's the man.
Oh yeah.
I was lucky. I went to Assen in the Netherlands in 2018, and I just because Rossi was on the decline. Then he's getting a bit old and for the bikes, and I just said I just want him to come past me leading 1 lap, and he did with 3 laps to go. Awesome. And I went nuts. It was like, yes! But yeah, MotoGP is fantastic. Bike races are crazy, aren't they? They're just absolutely crazy. Would you ever go down the kind of single-seater route, the old F4 and then Indy, or is it?
No, if the opportunity came out, I would do it. I would race anything. I love racing. I think it's all fun. I have a little X30 go-kart. I go run around GoPro sometimes, and that is super fun. Like, I mean, I have time of my life out there doing that. So literally, I think any form of discipline of racing is super fun. I would do anything.
Yes, excellent. We'd like to hear that. Have you got a favorite car that you've driven and a favorite circuit to race on?
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I can't give a good answer because I haven't raced enough. I've never really raced in asphalt, like anything in asphalt. But dirt wise, I don't know. I mean, outlaw carts are fun. I loved outlaw carts, but I don't know. I think midgets at Humboldt. I loved midgets at Humboldt. I think they were super fun. I also loved testing at Caraway when I did that. So I don't know. I guess either a late model at Caraway or a midget at Humboldt would be my 2.
Cool. We like that. I mean, I think you've probably already answered this. Apart from your dad, obviously, did you have any favorite drivers growing up? I think you've touched on this.
Yeah, Larson and Ross are definitely now. I was obsessed with Montoya. Montoya was like my hyper fixation for a while. He was
love him.
Because my dad, he used to work for the team Montoya Race 4 and Cup too. So I mean, I was kind of biased, but yeah, I don't know why. I was obsessed with Montoya. I was like a Montoya super fan when I was little.
Yeah, and he can race anything, can't he?
He's so good.
Races and wins everything, and you're in good company. I mentioned we had Chip Ganassi, which was ridiculous. He came on because he doesn't do interviews, and he came on here. I was like, and he said that he's obviously had so many guys that he's raced, that he's had in his team, and he said, and he just every time he mentioned Montoya, had a little smile on his face. It was like, yeah, even Chip Ganassi knows that Montoya is something a bit special, which is very, very cool. I mean, we touched on the NASCAR. Oh, okay, this is a tricky one. I mean, you've mentioned about Larson and Chastain and stuff. Do you have a team that you follow in NASCAR? Because I'm going to hold my hands up right now. They're a bit of controversy recently, but I'm a Penske man. They were the first team that I kind of heard of when I got into IndyCar, and they do NASCAR and they do everything else. So I'm a big Penske man.
I respect that. I guess the one I probably follow the most is just Trackhouse because my dad he worked at Ganassi and then like the switch. He still works at Trackhouse, and yeah, so I guess Ganassi and Trackhouse are definitely the teams I follow the most with racing to see how his guys are doing and then how like everyone else. Because I don't know, I grew up always watching them, so I think they're an amazing group of people. They're a great team, and yeah, and like I said, Daniel's super good. Ross is one of my favorite drivers, and yeah, they're just that is like probably my go-to one.
Awesome, because Trackhouse that had Shane Van Gisbergen, wasn't it? Was it Trackhouse?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was that was crazy. He just went and won. Oh, yeah. It was like, what?
Yeah, he is so good too. Yeah, like he's amazing. I feel like everyone over there is amazing. Everyone that works there, who's there, just they're all great people.
Yeah. Very quickly, the one thing about that Chicago road course, when we went to the Indy 500, we stayed in Chicago on the Thursday and then went back there on the Monday. And we figured out when we looked out of our hotel room, we could have seen part of the NASCAR circuit. We were like, "Oh, what? That would have been amazing!" But yeah, never mind. Awesome. Never mind. Okay, here we go. Right, Laci Ferno, winner of the 2034 Daytona 500. that could happen, couldn't it? There's no reason why it can't. Surely.
I know why I couldn't. I mean, if I'm in it, I'm aggressive enough. I think I can do it.
Yeah. Absolutely, watch this space. Watch this space. So I mean, obviously that's the dream, but from the sounds of it, I mean, you've gone about it the right way so far. You've got the right attitude for it, and the marketing and people, and yeah, we just need some sponsors and backers and stuff. And just very quickly, tell us where we can find you on social media.
Yeah, so pretty easy to find me. Everything's Laci Ferno 67. My name's spelled a little weird, just Laci, and then Ferno, which is I feel like I'm probably the only Ferno in racing. So Ferno, that's me. And then Laci Ferno 67. So I'm on LinkedIn. If you search that, I'm probably on it. LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X. I was on Threads. I haven't posted on Threads in a while, but there is a Threads account.
So there we go, guys. That is where to find Laci. And if you know anyone who wants to, back a young up-and-coming racer who's out there to kick some serious tail, then you've found her and put them in touch. Because as you said on other podcasts, some people, I'm not the first person to think you are made of the right stuff with the right attitude to go as far as you want to with a bit of help. So hopefully this has helped a bit, and hopefully it's given people a bit of an insight. And obviously we wish you all the best with it. We hope that someone comes in and can push you up that ladder.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Hopefully it'll be soon. Hopefully we'll be racing again, kicking butt soon. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No, fantastic. Thank you very much for coming on, having a chat. It's been great speaking. As I said, we like to speak to people from all across the motorsport spectrum. So it's great to speak with someone who's young, up and coming, and beating people. We like it.
Well, thank you so much.
Great stuff. Well, thanks, everyone, guys. Thank you very much. And obviously, Laci will be keeping track of your progress, and we wish you all the best for this season and beyond. Thank you very much for coming on and having a chat with us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on.
Great stuff. Cheers, guys. We'll see you on Wednesday when we are live with British touring car racer Rob Huff. So we'll see you then. And until then, take care, and we'll see you soon.